Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast. This is episode 297, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, and we've got... Oh my god, I can't believe they did that, but then I can't believe they did that. Then we've got the reasons why we really might want to consider not recording on Thursdays. And then, is this the beginning of the end, or just some typical restructuring? We're going to get to all of that and more, but first, joining me, you know them, you love them. First up, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
You're doing great. The weather's getting better. You know what that means. It's time to bust out the landmark shirt and piss off everyone who paid money for that stupid game.
What a dick. On to Q. How are you, Q? Hey, it looks like you're eating your lower third. Could you angle that down a little bit?
I'm getting such a glare from my left, by the way.
Well, so am I, but it's actually not. It seems like the sun is over here, but it's not. It's
I'm not talking about the sun. I'm talking about a stare from someone to my left glaring at me.
Oh, that kind of a glare.
You deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve
it. Yeah, possibly.
I feel like you deserve it. I still want my $100 back. It's the only one that I'm ever like, yeah, that one I should get back. The rest of them I'm like, nah, well, I bought in early. That's my own damn fault. This one I'm like, I should get my money back. But let's slide over and get started with actual real news. All right, so what do we got first up today? Well, we got some copycats. Now, let's bring you up to date first. So way back when, we talked about PUBG and Netease getting into a little legal spat over PUBG's accusations that Netease was infringing on their copyrights for PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. And remember, Jason, they presented some compelling evidence back in the day, such as there are frying pans in this game.
Well, but the buildings looked exactly the same.
Oh, come on. You and I had this damn argument back then. The buildings and shit were ripped from assets that could be purchased on the damn stores anyway in PUBG. So... come on, you can't sue somebody because they use the same assets you bought and used as well. That's just stupid. Can. No, you can't. All right.
If I'm a graphic designer and I design a logo for you,
right,
and then someone else you have a big company, and then someone else comes to me and asks me to design a logo, and I design the exact same logo, that first company could say,
okay, hey, wait a minute. And Q, being in the art world, yeah, I was going to say, Q, being very invested in the art world, please chime in with me here. Those are two entirely different things.
So if he comes to you and goes, make me a logo, and you make him the logo, and then somebody else goes, make me a logo, and you make the exact same logo, pretty much the same logo, then although then he would be suing you.
Right. I wouldn't be going after the other person, first off. I'd be going after you, provided we had some type of, proprietary or exclusivity clause in the contract. That's also very different from Q making a 3D piece of artwork and then putting it on a store for anybody to buy said artwork and use for whatever they hey, give Q $1 and you could use this for whatever the hell you want, just pay me $1 for it, and everybody going in, which is what was going on there.
Make you a logo. Same thing.
Q does some really cool... Q, what are those called, by the way? Sidebar.
He commissioned you to do a logo. Right. So, yes, technically he wouldn't necessarily be able to sue me for you copying a logo that you guys had an agreement on, but he could come and sue you for it.
But if I go onto the Unity store and I make a house and I say, great, here's a house, it's an asset, it's $5.50. Whoever wants to use the Unity store and use this in their game pays $5.50, they can use it. Then if that's what both PUBG does and some other game does, PUBG can't then sue that other game for buying the same asset. And that's pretty much what was going on here. Now, they weren't specific, to be clear, they weren't specifically suing for the use of assets that they could buy. We just pointed out that a lot of the assets in PUBG were able to be purchased on stores, so you kind of lose any credibility about suing somebody for assets. And the screenshots they showed, obviously, we both agreed at the time, Jason, the game is a PUBG clone, but there are plenty of those out there. These screenshots do nothing but show, yeah, we all agree it's a clone, but does it infringe on copyright? That was a very different argument, and it seems that the two companies finally agreed that maybe court isn't the best place for this to be adjudicated, right, Jason?
Yeah, they did announce a settlement last month. Let's see, it was blah, 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 blah. Yeah, settlement, and there was no details, usual, etc. So, although it was mentioned that NetEase made 21 updates to Knives Out, including 9 after litigation was brought to patch out the supposed similarities between the two games. So totally no, they thought they were in the right. That's not. Yeah, so they wouldn't. Yeah.
Oh, come on. You can't make that type of blanket statement either, Jason. That's just, you know what, this isn't fucking worth it. Let's color our frying pan a little differently. I mean, because this is stupid.
Well, who knows exactly how different they made it.
Right, or what the 21 changes were, all of this. But anyway, I thought it was a dumb lawsuit back then. Jason kind of thought back then that this does have some merit, even though some of the things that they were using as evidence in their filing may have been a bit sketchy and a bit generic to begin with. But Jason thought there was a little bit of merit, and apparently both companies thought maybe we're not quite in the right. Let's just settle this and get this done with. So there was a settlement. But that's not why we're talking about this today, Q. That's just to catch you up. Because apparently Netease just likes lawsuits, because there's gotta be one coming off of the latest news that they now have a Fortnite clone too. As if messing with PUBG wasn't poking the biggest bear in the market at the time, then a bigger bear came along and NetEase said basically, fuck it, let's do that too. And so they have created Fortcraft, Q. Gee, I wonder who they're copying this on. And obviously, I can't show you too much because of our own monetization stuff within YouTube. But I'm going to show you a little bit of what I can here. So let me pull up this bad boy. And let me see if this kind of looks familiar to any of you out there. And this is another case, Jason, where initially you go, yeah, okay, they created a Battle Royale. There's tons of Battle Royale clones, too. And while I may have disagreed with you on the NetEase going after PUBG one, I think their ass is going to be in the frying pan on this one. What do you think?
See, that exactly proves my point, though, is that, yeah, saying there are clones of Battle Royales out there, sure. But when you make one that looks like and plays like something else out there, that's when you get into... look exactly like it at a glance, you think it's the same thing. That's the point. And yeah, at a glance, you could be confused into thinking this was Fortnite, especially when you have the name there.
Yes.
Yeah, people are going to think this actually is something done by Epic Games. So, and that's the point, where you confuse people into thinking it's one product by a certain company when it's really not, and then that's where the lawsuits can really come in.
Well, here's the other thing, too, and I don't know this off the top of my head. Maybe one of the two of you do. This game's currently in closed beta in China. Now, historically, Western games have issues getting into that market, and that market generally has a pretty lackadaisical attitude about copyright infringement anyway. Do we know, is Fortnite in China? I don't know off the top of my head.
It's associated with Tencent, right?
Well, Epic is,
Epic
yeah.
is. So then if it's not in China, there's a pretty good chance that they intended to bring it into China, because that's usually why most Western game companies associate with Tencent. That's like half the reason Hi-Rez associates with Tencent, because Tencent goes, okay, comes in and basically goes, this is what you have to do to make it so your game will be allowed in China, since they have so many, strange rules about what you can do to bring your game in.
Here's an article from 4 months ago. It says that
it's banned.
Banned. That's exactly it. Fortnite's
yeah,
banned
so I saw articles from earlier last year that said it was kind of struggling to take off in China, and then, I think we're looking at the same thing from FortniteIntel.com. Fortnite reportedly banned in China by the Chinese government, and that was in December. So maybe Epic doesn't, even if we all agree that they probably have a claim here, Q, on this one, being directly ripped off of an actual product, and that's where Fortnite kind of went the right way with this. I'll talk about that in a second. Do they really have any leg to stand on besides maybe Big Daddy Tencent having some legal sway inside China?
I mean, if it's banned over there, and honestly, I knew it was banned at least temporarily, in India or something recently, but
Oh no, people were just being arrested for playing it.
yeah, well, it's a light ban basically.
Right.
But PUBG has been just banned in Nepal. I've read that.
So, but if it's banned over there and Tencent's not making any money off of it, as long as it doesn't leave. Now, if they bring it west, right, then that is probably going to be on. But I would imagine that it almost wouldn't be worth it for them to bother if it stays in the Chinese market.
Now, somebody did comment on this article that they thought this game was called Creative Destruction in the West now. I had to look that one up. It's not one that I was familiar with. Alberto made the comment. Not only is this not in the West yet, because it's only currently closed beta in China, the Creative Destruction game I found that was available in the West on Steam was like a car racy, cartoony looking type thing. So I don't believe they are these same titles, Alberto.
Yeah, they're not. I remember us covering that a while ago. They had a game page for it a while back. So yeah.
Yeah, so here's where I think, Jason, to the point of us debating the merits of PUBG versus NetEase, here's where I think Epic, and I know Jim Sterling has said something about this too in relationship to Fortnite versus PUBG. It's that Fortnite was very intelligent about creating their Battle Royale because it has a specific design look to it, where PUBG it looks like that generic third-person military browns and grays shooter where they're a dime a dozen. This one is very different, and like you said, you watch the trailer and they are trying to almost trick you into believing that this is Fortnite because of the art style, the UI. I mean, the entire overall feel of the game, you could tell it's a ripoff rather than what happened with PUBG, where I look at and go, I mean, yeah, it's a clone, but there's 900 other titles that have this same aesthetic, this same look, these same weapons, that I can't really say it's a direct ripoff of PUBG. Certainly trying to capitalize on their audience, but Fortcraft? I mean, come on. It's like NetEase wasn't even trying to protect themselves here, Jason.
Yeah, and it's like, and the thing is, there still could be lawsuits and damages brought into it as a possibility because, you might play this and then you get hacked or you lose your money or whatever, and you go, oh, screw that, Epic cost me my money. You don't know it's not Epic because you just look at it and you think, oh, it's Fortnite or whatever, or something based off that. So now you're pissed at Epic, and now you're not going to buy their next game that comes out or whatever. So there could still be damages involved in that and something worth suing over. And of course, if Fortnite ever gets back into China, that's
huge problems if that happens. And you got to believe that Tencent is trying everything they can do to get that in there with how much money the damn game makes. I do like the way Jason ended the article, Q, which was, hey, if you're Respawn Entertainment or Electronic Arts, you probably want to start getting those lawyers ready because eventually it seems like NetEase will be coming after Apex Legends next.
I mean, it depends on how long Apex Legends continues to, bring in players and stuff, I would think. But if not Apex Legends, then obviously somebody else, whatever the new hotness is at the time, that they're like, hey, there could be some money made here if only we had a game that looked like that. So...
My. Speaking of Fortnite and Apex Legends, though, on the flip side of the whole let's copy shit, Fortnite did go ahead and add a reboot system. So you can now respawn your squad mates in Fortnite Battle Royale. And boy, this sounds very familiar, Q. I wonder where they might have thought fans might like this type of feature.
I don't know, maybe people telling them that they would like this kind of feature after they seeing it elsewhere. So I mean, yeah. The thing is with this kind of thing, people are like, oh well, I think I saw some people commenting about, oh, they're just copying stuff in that. No, I don't have a problem with games copying, like adding features that players suggest that they want, like looking at other games and going, okay, well, this would actually improve our game to a certain,
Hell, that's
extent.
been World of
So,
Warcraft's MO for years now, right?
right. Well, and the thing is you see what happens when you don't do that. You saw it with Final Fantasy 14 and even Yoshi P popping up and going, man, we should have really looked at Warcraft and saw what worked and what didn't before we tried doing this. And, so it's one of those things that's helpful for your game to pay attention to what other games are doing, because your player base is going to change, or the new things are going to come out. And if you don't, kind of add those things, you're just going to let your game die, because they're going to find better stuff somewhere else if you don't figure out ways to implement that kind of stuff. So,
Jason, the feature goes a little like this. The three of us are in a squad. I die, Q dies. You pick up the reboot cards that we drop. You take them to a reboot van. You throw them in there. The van makes lots of loud noises and lights, and everybody on the map gets to know, hey, people are inbound and how many people are inbound. And then basically you got to chill there and kind of protect us while we're coming in slowly over time, one at a time. So, I mean, very reminiscent of Apex Legends.
Yeah, I mean, basically the same.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, except that I don't know if they airdrop in or if I think they just kind of, just looking at the picture, it looks like they just kind of beam up on the van or something.
Yeah, they're like summoned.
They just materialize.
Yeah, it's very like Star Trek, beamed in, put together, fax machine people type thing.
I think the little thing above them, like the little drone or whatever it is, like basically just copies your body or whatever right there on the pad, so...
What really happens, though, is if we're playing together in a trio and Q dies and Mike dies, then I probably die shortly thereafter because I'm not that good. But
no, see, me, I'd just be like, you know, I like you both, but if I go try to res you, I am going to get killed. So I'm just gonna go hide behind this rock. What's funny is my daughter is a very, very big Fortnite player, and she's actually pretty damn good at the game too. Jason has texted me before, are you on Fortnite? Because he'll see my account.
It was like 1 a.m. and I'm like, why is Mike's account on?
No, I'm not on Fortnite. But she plays it a lot and everything. And as soon as I told her this, she was like, they're just putting it in because Apex Legends did. My daughter will be 12 Friday. So the audacity of this little grab was not lost on anybody, including my 12-year-old daughter and somebody on the higher end of the Fortnite popularity spectrum. Jason Ninja did chime in on this as well.
Well, yeah, you said just in general, like, what was it that I have to pull my Skype now? You said that, it's like, has it got that video stuff here? Oh shit! Well, I just took a picture. Stupid Skype.
What the?
I just pressed a button. Okay, did I just screw up the screen?
It just popped up a thing that said Jason Winter took a snapshot,
and it showed us the snapshot you took.
Basically, he said though that Fortnite, if it's not careful, it's going to wind up going the same way as H1Z1, which.
Yeah, and I think the larger point that he was making, too, was it's all well and good to take other features from other games and put them in yours, and by no means did Apex Legends invent respawning. We're not implying that either. You've got to believe, though, this is a direct result of how much people liked it in that particular game, but that they still have a lot of stuff they need to fix on their end that seems to be getting overlooked in the process of adding all these new features, so... Speaking of H1Z1, let's move on and talk about why Thursday recordings just continue to really... So, of course, we recorded a few episodes on Friday due to my schedule one day, and I think Q's schedule or Jason's schedule one of the other times. We did it like Friday for maybe 2 or 3 weeks in a row. We recorded Friday and immediately posted the show that same day. As those of you that are longtime viewers know, we typically record on Thursday in the late afternoon East Coast time, and then we post it on Friday, given our other video and editorial schedules that we normally do. And that was fine. Of course, though, the weekends we recorded on Friday, nothing happened Thursdays in the evening. But the minute we go back to Thursday and we record a show, an hour later, shit goes down. and our show doesn't have us talking about it until the following week. And in this case, it was every Thursday I go to our local game store with my wife and kids. We stop at the mall and eat at the food court, and I get a text at the food court that says, I don't know what the hell's going down, but something's going down at Daybreak. There's some tweets. It's Jason. So I reach out to my Daybreak contacts and say, hey, what's going on? Here's what we're seeing. Couple tweets that people aren't there anymore, that are people we know about. Is this a company-wide thing? Is it specific to a game? We can't get replies or anything. But then over the next 48 hours, shit got real, and shit got real shitty too, Jason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first thing I saw was a tweet from John Smedley. It said, sorry friends at Daybreak and Netease. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, whoa, what's going on?
Yep.
And I looked around a little bit and saw that, in fact, several people who were, to be specific, employed by Netease, which was the company that took over H1Z1, renamed it Z1 Battle Royale, the PC version, just last month.
And then tried to put the plan to reset it back to its sexy days.
Right. That was about a month ago that was when they did that. They did the reverted the combat update or whatever it was. Found other employees, or now former employees, a lot of them saying basically they've been let go of their job. Included their combat designer, executive producer, Adam Clegg, who's like the lead designer, something about a community manager. All these people say now they're unemployed. So, yeah, that's kind of a thing then. And also the news came by the next day from Netease saying that they've given control of the game back to Daybreak.
Yeah.
Given control of what game now?
Right. Yeah. So from their actual message posted on the 5th, despite the team's determination and commitment to revive Z1BR's player base, with our recent Season 3 launch update, we soon realized that the road is still paved with many challenges that preclude us from long-term success, including the confusion it caused by having both Netease Mobile and Daybreak managing the same game under two separate brands. Based on these events and the current state of the game, Netease Mobile will focus on its core mission of developing mobile games moving forward, and we've refocused our team towards this vision. Ouch. What they didn't say was that they didn't refocus their teams. They let this team go and then funneled the game back to Daybreak Q. And then later we found out that the people they let go really got screwed.
Yeah, like when the news actually hit for me, I pretty much did the same thing Jason did, only initially all I saw was that tweet, and I spent just sat there going, okay, I have no idea what's going on, but it's gotta be awful. And then the rest of this, it's so confusing that they would even kind of divide everything out in the first place like that. Like, you would think, you have to wonder what the logic was in making some of the decisions they made that ended up causing people to just be, let go all over the place. Because dividing it up between the two things and going, we're controlling this and we're controlling that, like, nothing that they have done with this game forever has made sense.
They just love dividing it, whether it's dividing the original game and then
dividing
it like this.
None of the stuff they've done with this game has made sense for the longest time. And I honestly most of the time I forget it exists because it's just been so awful every time I hear anything about it. I'm just like, all right, that's not going to last.
It's just a mess. So the statement also goes on to say, we've decided to as Jason mentioned, hand back Z1BR torch to Daybreak Games so that both Z1BR and H1Z1 will be under one publishing umbrella once again. This sentence I don't like. Daybreak Games has agreed, if I were a Z1BR battle or a Z1BR player, I really wouldn't like this sentence. Daybreak Games has agreed to keep the servers up for players and continue live maintenance on the game. That, Jason, kind of just says, this is maintenance mode, take it for what it is now. We'll keep the servers on, but that's it. For now, at the very least. We also saw later, Jason, that severance-wise, these people that got laid off really got the shaft.
Yeah, Gamma Sutra has more on this. It says that 13 people lost their jobs in the process of all this. And it says here, according to, who did they get this from? According to a former NantG mobile developer affected by the layoffs, they said that severance for those affected by the layoffs was based only on time spent at NantG Mobile, a studio that only opened up around 6 months ago, rather than combined time employed at Daybreak and NantG.
Wow.
That means that in some cases, our people lost out on upwards of 18 years worth of seniority.
Holy
So wait,
shit.
okay, did they forcibly transfer, like basically go, okay, you're part of Nat G now and not Daybreak anymore? Like, or
Well,
was it like a whole thing where they applied to be like, how does that work that you go from the one to the other? You're still technically working on the same projects and everything.
because NantG owned the game, I suppose. If Daybreak no longer owns the game, you can't stay there and be part of the team, right? I mean, you kind of have to go.
I mean, that is nuts. That is absolutely crazy. Now, in the process,
H1Z1 people getting screwed out of their money, that's never happened before.
well, I was going to ask that in just a moment, by the way. So one of the questions in Jason and I's frantic texting back and forth to try and jump on tweets and things, and who was saying what. One of the things I said to Jason was, "Hey, I'm guessing your H1Z1 competitive league players didn't get paid last Monday like they were supposed to, according to that agreement. Do we have any more on that, or?"
No, I sent back to my guy and haven't heard a thing from him.
Okay. So take that for what it is. We'll keep you posted. I also did reach out to Daybreak a couple of times that day. They didn't get back to me until the next day. And by the time they did get back to me, NantG had already published its public statement. So they referred me, of course, to that. Really, I didn't really have anything additional for Daybreak once NantG made that public announcement. We knew what happened. It was just this particular game. Nothing bigger at Daybreak, at least publicly. I did ask, though, and I haven't received an answer yet, which I'm not surprised because my contact's on vacation this week, so I'll probably hear Monday, if this severed all ties between Daybreak and NantG, because publicly this was the only piece that they had kind of purchased, Jason. But we don't know if privately there were other joint mobile ventures going on between the two companies or future projects that were going to happen between these two companies. All we knew at the time was the Z1BR acquisition. So hopefully I'll get an answer to that, and we'll find out if NantG's totally out of the picture when it comes to Daybreak now, or if it's just publicly there is no project that's released that they're involved in, but they've still got stuff going on behind the scenes. Because I remember Daybreak announcing that as huge news, and they needed the money at that time.
They were going to make it, there's going to be like an arena for it and everything too, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. All right, so before we finish up here, let's talk about some things that might signal the beginning of the end, or are they just typical restructuring? And I've got a few in here that I want your opinions are on these stories here that just maybe not so good news lines. So let's start with the big one. Is this the beginning of the end, or is this just typical restructuring after something launches for Bless Online? So the game isn't going anywhere. We're not talking about that. We are talking about NeoWiz Bless Studio. Now, this was the studio that was given the singular goal of making, building, and maintaining Bless Online, particularly in the West. That team is going away. They're being absorbed into their parent company, NeoWiz. Now, things we don't know about this, Jason, is this going to make the team smaller? Are there going to be layoffs? Does this impact the release schedule of anything? And that's kind of why I have this story in the category of, is this the beginning of the end? Or is this just a sensible restructure for them? Let's absorb them back in, because that's what they kind of say it. And kudos to MMO culture for translating stuff like this. They said that this was to enhance management efficiency and enhance corporate value. So I can kind of get both of those, bring the team back in, more direct supervision, more efficiency, and hey, this team that might be valued publicly at X dollars, if we absorb it back into our company, it will enhance our overall company's dollar value publicly too. So all those things, while they could just be PR spin and PR speak, they do seem valid in this type of transition. We just don't have details on, does this mean layoffs or what? But it ain't going well for Bless, so I don't know how to take this one, Jason.
I mean, that is kind of the issue, is the fact that we don't have like official word from this. All we have is little bits that MMO culture was able to dig up. So we haven't found like a press release or any other kind of real news about it. But I mean, you look at the numbers they're pulling, you look at this now, And I really do think it is the beginning of the end. Like I would be surprised maybe if this makes it to the end of the year.
Really?
That's my pseudo prediction, my late
Oh,
April,
wow.
mid-April prediction that Bless might not survive till the end of the year.
All right, so follow-up question before I get Q's take on this then. What happens with Bless Unleashed, the console game that is to be released?
They've shut the game down and released it at other places before, so why not try that? They'll probably still go with it and try to eke a little more cash out of that, I suppose, and that'll shut down next year.
So the other team that's working on Bless Unleashed Round 8, they are part of NeoWiz Bless Studio, so presumably now they're just going to be part of NeoWiz as well, since that whole thing's being sucked in. Q, what do you make of this? Is this the beginning of the end, as Jason thinks, for Bless Online? And we'll set Bless Unleashed aside because it's still in development and we don't know what's going to happen with it. But let's stick with Bless Online. Is this the beginning of the end, or is this just the game's out, it might not be making a ton, but the income is stabilized. We know what it's going to be, so let's suck this team back in and just put the value on NeoWiz rather than all these subsidiaries?
I mean, I honestly don't know that I would call it the beginning of the end, because with Bless, you've basically been at the beginning of the end since it started.
Oh!
So...
Damn!
It's true.
He's not wrong.
Oh, fuck you.
Sorry.
Subtle like a sledgehammer. Shit.
That being said, I mean, with the assets or whatever else that they've put into it, if they just absorb, this portion of the company back into NeoWiz, they can put those people on doing other things, keeping the game alive for however many players it's going to have for however long it lasts. That kind of thing, but they can, like, running an entirely separate division company for something costs more money than it's, just going, okay, well, you guys can kind of work on this kind of deal. So it's smart in that sense. Although I swear to God, like, when you see phrases like enhanced management efficiency, does it just not make you want to scream synergy? Like I see that and my brain just goes synergy. Like
your TPS reports were due this morning. In other but maybe not news, Blade and Soul will be consolidating its servers. Now, normally, this isn't a server mergers. We kind of mention them on the show when they're bigger games, but they're just a part of business, particularly after launch. And yeah, I mean, they may be perceived as a negative, but in most cases, they're kind of natural. What concerns me about this one, Jason, is it's very WildStar-esque in that they don't have many servers to begin with. Where this isn't like SWTOR, right? Where, oh my God, we have so many players, let's create more, and oh my God, now 6 months later, we have way too many, and we're going to go from 60 to 12. That type of stuff. They used to have 5 servers for Blade and Soul, and later this month, on the 24th, it's going to become 2, one in North America and one in Europe. And that is exactly what happened to WildStar. I mean, exactly what happened to WildStar. And so you can't character transfer. There's going to be refunds if you did transfer from like the 27th of last month through the 10th of this month. Currency exchange, all that kind of stuff. There's information on the site. What I want to talk about, Jason, is Blade and Soul maybe not doing as well as clicks would have you believe? Because I will tell you this from the back end. When we write a Blade and Soul piece, it is still up there as one of the most read pieces of news that day. So it gets traffic, but is it maybe not performing as well as we thought? Or is this just, once again, like we're talking about Bless Online, the natural progression of an MMO's lifespan?
Well, let me go to my spreadsheet, which shows all the money that Blade and Soul has been making over the years. And it actually is down some. It made 24,993, whatever that is, which is pretty close.
That's in Korean won, right?
Yeah, which is pretty close to WildStar's first quarterly report. So when WildStar, plummeted into the depths after that. So I don't think those are really comparable. I think it still does okay. Maybe it's come down. It has come down quite a bit since the North American Europe launch, which was 3 years ago. So that's a long time for them to keep it around and now decide the servers need to be merged. But I think it's still doing okay. I don't think it's in any danger of shutting down here or anywhere else. I think it has come down some, and they feel the need to at least do this much to save a little cash.
So to you, unlike the Bless Online, this is not bad news. This is the natural lifespan of an MMO 3 years later. Okay. I tend to agree with you on this one. I don't think Bless Online is going to be dead by the end of the year. I don't think it'll make it through next year, though. But Q, do you agree? Is this kind of just, this is what happens with smaller MMOs 3 years in? Cut the servers from 5 to 2 and keep going about your business.
And I mean, just kind of MMOs in general now. There's so many of them, and there's so many that retaining that player base that you had when it first launched, and everybody's excited to check it out is not going to happen. So, I mean, yeah, just dropping it down to where there's a comfortable amount of people still playing on the server, and your people can do what they're doing, and as long as they're buying your stuff, I think you're fine. So I think that they're probably okay.
Before we slide over to the weekly bombs, we wanted to let you know that Prince Harry has some advice for plebeians like us out there. Just giving us the royal point of view on very important matters of state across the world. A world that is a little goofy right now in some respects. So I like when our leaders, our elected. Oh well, wait, they're not. I like when the royal family chimes in on things that matter. The things that matter. Princess Di did so much, and I'm sure her descendants will. Well, let me just tell you, he thinks Fortnite should be banned. Yeah. He feels there's no benefit to having Fortnite in your house. Feels it causes extreme issues because, quote, it's created to addict players and keep them looking at their screens for extended periods of time. He goes on to say, it's like waiting for the damage to be done and kids turning up on your doorsteps and families being broken down. And because of that, he feels the game shouldn't be allowed. So that's slightly different than saying ban the shit, but that's basically what you need to do to make a game not allowed. So, great. Jason, fuck it. I don't know.
I'd just like to mention I've done quite a bit of genealogy research, and I would like to say I am the 22nd great grandson of Louis IX of France. And based on that, I hereby declare that Fortnite should be banned in France.
Q?
I mean, I'm a descendant of Mary, Queen of Scots. There's some stuff that I've seen him do that I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like he works, trying to kind of get people to be aware of mental issues and stuff like that. Apparently he suffers from depression or whatever else. But I'm also of the opinion, that pretty much anything is addictive. Like I have an extreme problem with caffeine, and pretty much anything can be addictive if you have an addictive enough personality. I mean, I grew up out near Las Vegas where, there's gambling and it's a huge problem for some people.
In Las Vegas?
But shush. But, for a lot of people, they play a little bit and they leave, and it's fine. So it's just one of those things, like, I don't really think it's the thing that they're addicted to that you need to be dealing with. It's the people who are addicted that need help.
Yeah, and
let's just get rid of it.
Had his larger point, which, to be fair, I mean, this is 2 sentences in the overall point he was trying to make, which was that kids are spending too much time with their screens these days, and those aren't things that most people are going to disagree with, and there are a number of different initiatives that you could start. I mean, here in the States, we had the NFL did the Play 60 thing, and I think they're still doing it to encourage people to play outside for an hour a day. And then Michelle Obama, former First Lady, that was one of her big initiatives, was the health of children and less screen time and stuff like that. I don't think there's anybody but when you start calling for outright bans of things, people are, hey, predictably going to have an adverse reaction to that if that's something they enjoy this much or too much. Whatever. It's the fucking royal family.
The NFL promotes Play 60 and then also offers to sell you its skins in Fortnite.
Right.
But I mean, even like Coca-Cola has, I forget what it's called, but it's some sort of balance thing where it's like, not just being aware of how much time you spend outside doing stuff and everything else. Like plenty of, and a lot of it is for, basically, presentation, right? Like to make themselves look like a company that cares.
Knowing that nobody's reading this or doing this stuff.
Right. So that it's, they're kind of just half-assed initiatives or whatever.
I will never forgive the Cookie Monster for saying that cookies are sometimes food.
Well, I mean,
I do have a message for people to comment on the site because this particular story led to probably the most moderation I've had to do on any article in the last 2 or 3 months. Because, of course, there was a ton of marriage comments about the prince and his wife. And there was some anger directed at the three of us because, to full disclosure, it is Q and I that do the moderation as far as the comments go. We are the only two that moderate them, and we typically moderate for severe cases of dickishness. We're usually pretty hands-off when it comes to even language, as long as it's not directed at a particular commenter or the person writing the article. We usually let some questionable language go through if it's just generally part of expressing the point. There were some flat-out racist things said on this article, and I don't care what your views are, you are certainly entitled to them. But when you flat-out put racist things on the site, and then you see that we've moderated them out because they are racist, don't then comment with more language about how racist we are for eliminating the racist comments.
It don't work that way.
It don't work that way. And I'm going to say that the point this person, there were a couple of them, but the point these people were trying to make was a point that was made by somebody else that was posted. They just didn't use the racism shit in it, and we let their comment stand. And was posted. They accused the bride of being a gold digger and marrying a prince. You are certainly entitled to that opinion. I can't tell you if it's true or not, and we let that comment go. The other people that wanted to make basically that same point replace gold digger with 900 ethnic slurs. That's not going to go, and for you to even think that it would have was silly. So, come on.
I should say, though, there is a third moderator. It's called a kismet. So a lot of your stuff gets caught by that thing.
Yeah, and then we have to approve it or not. So, and if you put links in there, just know even if you're making a totally legit comment, if you put a link in there to anything, it's gonna await moderation. That's just for security of the site. Don't get mad. I usually go and look at the links and make sure, okay, they're just posting a picture of a screenshot of something they were talking about in their comment, and I let them go. Q does the same thing, so. Fun stuff. I just had to get that off my head. I was like, really? They posted this, paragraph-long racist rant. I trashed it, denied it. They posted the same exact thing again. I trashed it, denied it. Then there was a comment awaiting moderation calling me and Q or whoever does the moderation, so they didn't specifically point to any of us, racist for not allowing racist language. Whatever. Fun stuff. And Prince Harry, who the fuck cares? Let's move on and get to the weekly bombs. Jason, you're up first.
I'm going to give an A bomb to teenagers who have $2,600 to spend every year on miscellaneous crap, because that's what came up in a survey that someone had done. It's a big survey firm. I don't remember who it was. Basically talking about gaming or spending habits in general, and also talking about gaming and so forth. And they came up with $2,600 of what the kids had every year to spend on stuff. Now, I'll admit I was kind of lazy when I was a kid, so I didn't get a summer job or anything like that. Even so, that just seems like a lot. I would have loved to have had $2,600, $2,000, $3,000 to have every year as a kid. This was average too. So supposedly this would count the kids who didn't have a job, and figure them into it as well. So I don't know. If you're a teenager watching this and you got that kind of bling sitting around, let me know. Let me know what you do, how you do it. Put me to shame for how hard you worked for your money.
I think there are probably not in our viewers, of course, but probably people in that survey that you don't want to know how they are getting, and they would never publicly say how they are getting that money. Q, go ahead.
I'm actually going to give a rare bomb to the state of Mississippi for actually having high school esports as a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're keeping in mind that this is a state that scores 49th or 50th on everything but like obesity, where they're number one. So, I mean, this is kind of rare for them to have something like this, and I think it's great.
Sweet. I'm going to give a dub bomb to the kind of trivia / real life puzzle game that Skyforge is running on their Facebook to pump up its latest expansion, which is now available. They'll be running these through the 30th, I believe, and there's some prizing at the end. They haven't announced the prizing yet, but the first one was like an easy one. It was a maze that you did, and you used the letters to spell out words to solve this ultimate riddle at the end. I like that kind of stuff, as cheesy as it may sound. So, dub bomb to them. From the viewers, Guestly sent me an email. Guestly, I had to trim this down, but I did want to get some of this stuff in here about the matchmaking and premium tank stuff we were talking about for World of Tanks last week. So Guestly, edited version, says, about matchmaking and premium tanks, mostly people buy tier 8 premium tanks, the max tier you can get. Premium tanks are for farming XP, because you can convert the XP for free XP, or convert for free XP to use for any tank in the game, training your crew faster, farming in-game money faster, in a few words, to progress faster or get extra income. And there's a way to get premium tanks in-game for free. There are missions now live for a second premium tank this year already, and Frontline, it's a game mode 1 week a month that lets you get up to 4 tanks in-game for free. All you need to do is play, aka grind. Now, about the matchmaking feature. Even I own a few premium tanks, but I play them 90% in Frontline equals tons of easy millions of money to get every single week. Or to get in a single week. And before, as tier 8 tanks, approximately 7 battles out of 10 was against tier 9 or 10 tanks. 2 battles, only tier 8 tanks, and maybe 1 battle, I was the top tank. Now, it's something like this. As tier 8 tank, you will play most likely against 8 and 9. If you get lucky as top tank against tier 6 and 7, but one big but, if your team plays really bad, it means close to nothing. Jason, I think that's a point that you tried to make too, is in the grand scheme, you might have a little more fun killing, but if your team sucks, you're probably still not winning the match. Guestly says, for me, as someone who plays casually maybe a few hours a day from 10 battles, I simply see less battles with 2-tier difference. And when tried out premium, I still get to play against bigger tiers, but more likely against the same tier than against lower tiers. I hope what I wrote makes sense. In the end, my thoughts, they have improved matchmaking for sure. But when they say premium tanks will likely be the top tank is still in RNG, and my RNG shows that either way, my RNG sucks, or this is just a marketing move. Thank you, Guestly, for all of that information. There's some other people that chimed in on this one, too, as well. Go ahead, Jason.
Elusive X Treasure says, massive A-bomb to the Battle Pass and all that my formerly beloved Rift is now. There has been only negative news since Gamigo got it, or no news at all. As much as I miss the game itself, I cannot go back to it. As my husband so poignantly put it, it's like visiting a dying relative. They will just milk the game until it's completely vacant and then close it. In any case, I won't be giving them money ever again. Instead, we'll migrate to EQ once more. No, they don't milk the game for money. Anyway. A game that puts out content and actually seems to care about its community. If you want to sell cosmetics, just sell the cosmetics. Don't artificially enhance playtime through dailies, weeklies. No one wants to do. Dailies, weeklies, no one wants to do. I, too, hope this fails. It's a terrible model. Or maybe they'll find more of their more of those season passes or whatever or lifetime passes or whatever they were making that they ran out of and then found more of too. So,
go ahead, Q.
Lurch 2000 in quotations. In what way did you not enjoy paying for that tank? Good luck at Epic, Jason. Wish you the best. You got 360 days to return minus the 5-day broadcasting time.
Nice. Good job, Lurch. Rukia says, maybe it's me, but I fail to understand how it's different or hard for Artifact to go free to play. I mean, as far as I understand, when you buy Artifact, you get 20 packs where you can open later, plus 5 arena tickets on top of whatever tutorial, core, or basic set thing you get. Now, if they go free to play, basically they just remove the 20 packs and the 5 arena tickets. So basically, free to play players, when joining Artifact, will get like 50 free basic cards. 50 is just a made up number. I don't know how many you get as a basic account. This is Rukia saying that. It's sure that you can make 2,000 Steam accounts and put those cards in the black market. However, who will buy that 50 basic cards anyway? As far as how to monetize it, it's the same as every single card game out there. Sell packs, sell arena tickets, sell heroes. The thing that makes Artifact unique is that the ability to sell every individual card that you get for a Steam wallet, real money in that way. I mean, 99.99% of digital card games, you can have 10 duplicates of super rare legendary cards. There isn't much you can do about it besides disenchant and get some dust, shards, or whatever. However, on Artifact, at least you can sell 9 of them for some Steam wallet money. Isn't that what Artifact's all about, or what makes, or what it market different compared to all other digital card games? I'm so sorry for my English. English isn't my first language. You were fine. If English is your second or third language, it is much better than my second and third language, so don't ever apologize for that. Jason, I'm going to let you chime in on this one because I think it is a little bit different when you introduce that ability to sell the cards for individual money, but still have to make money on the product yourself as the company that makes the game.
Well, Rukia brought up the good basic point is that right now you have to spend money to get your 20 packs plus 5 tickets or whatever, and if you went free to play, you don't give them that. That's true. That would be the right way to do it. The question is, though, how else do you give out cards? If you can ever get them for doing, you say, take Hearthstone, take the way that works, for instance. You can do a daily quest, you have to win 3 matches, you get free 50 gold or whatever, you do that enough, you get a free pack. Now the point is, if you do that, if you have your 20 Steam accounts, and granted, depending, you space it out depending on how much for grind you want it to be as the company. But if you do that on all your different accounts, you can get all sorts of stuff for free. You can basically do your daily quest multiple times per day, which kind of negates the point of being a daily quest, and then you can funnel all those to a single account or whatever and then sell them for money or trade them or whatever. That's why Hearthstone doesn't let you do that sort of thing, basically. So that's where the issue kind of comes in. If they want to keep the notion of real money transfers and real money sales and trades and so forth, they have to greatly change how they do their game, and I'm not sure exactly what the right way is to do that.
Go ahead and take the next one, Jason.
Roberto Bolberto. I love that. Roberto Bolberto. Monetization is part of the many problems with Artifact, but it isn't the main one. SteamDB has Artifact with over 1 million owners. Despite having that many owners, the player numbers went down to an average of 300 users now. Artifact isn't a good game. It has a dumb business model, and it lacks features, plus it isn't fun to watch.
And like it or not, in this day and age, that last one is an important one that we did not bring up last show. That these types of games, MOBAs, card games, those e-sporty competitive type, they've got to be fun to watch, because then you can give Ninja $1 million to play your game and a bunch of people are going to go and play it. But good point. Really good point. Go ahead, Q.
Rabbit Vermin. The explanation of the world of tanks premium matchmaking is awful by Jason. There are only certain tanks
shots fired.
There are only certain tanks that are allowed in preferential matchmaking. These tanks are tuned for +-1 matchmaking. Most premium tanks do not have this attribute. This is not that big of a deal.
All right, so hold on a second. Let me see if I can find here. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
To make battles, this is coming from Wargaming site. It says the purpose of the matchmaker. What's different about the matchmaker? To make battles more enjoyable for premium vehicles with preferential matchmaking. Now those of you who have these machines in your garage will be less frequently getting matched with vehicles 1 tier higher and more often with adversaries 1 tier lower. So it says premium vehicles. It doesn't specify any specific premium vehicles. I always said it was premium vehicles that were getting it. So if it's only specific ones, then I don't know. That's badly described by Wargaming, so I don't know.
Next up is Chaosbringer 12. Again, this is one I had to edit, but Chaos, you made some great points, so I did want to keep the main ones in here. I apologize that I'm not reading your comment in its entirety. So I wanted Rift feedback, and Elusive X Treasure, who we all know is a Rift junkie, her and her husband, gave her opinion. Here's Chaosbringer coming from the other side of it. So in regards to Rift's new Battle Pass, let me address a few things as someone that's been playing for a long time and very active on the forums. First, let's address the whole, why am I paying for content? You're not paying to play that content. That content is always there, whether you buy the pass or not. You're paying to access the rewards. It'd be different if the objectives were brand new activities, dungeons, raids, etc. Then they would be adding in just for the Battle Pass, but that's not the case. One of the biggest complaints, as I'm sure you guys probably know, with most older MMOs is that the open world content feels dead outside of whatever the current expansion or level cap is. A lot of these quests are intended to fill the world back up with people. The dailies will all be different/random for people to help support that as well. Rewards, mounts, like most MMOs, are purely optional or cosmetic and can be purchased in the store directly. Try-on pre-acquisition was taking major steps away from loot boxes, usually for $20 to $25 unless there's a mount sale going on. Other cosmetic wings from the various events are usually $5 on top of just getting over $10 worth of credits by the time you're through all the levels of the pass. You're getting all this $30 to $40 worth of stuff and then some for $10, and it's completely optional if fluff is your thing, which is the case for a lot of people. Chaos, the stuff that I cut out of Chaos's comment was critique of the way we presented it, and that we should have looked more into the Discord channel and active, very, very like hardcore Rift active people and getting their opinions, where Chaos did say that the opinions were more of some of the quests weren't particularly well done or particularly interesting, and they should be redone rather than the whole Battle Pass sucks thing. So Chaos, thank you for the feedback. We will take it. Definitely. We will defer to people like you and Elusive X Treasure who play much more often than Q or I do anymore. But I think, at least from my personal perspective, our ultimate point on this one, for me, still stands. At the end of the day, this was some paying for some daily quests for some cosmetic shit. And if you really want that cosmetic stuff, then great, fine. The Battle Pass is for you. If you don't care about cosmetic shit, that's the only reason to get this. There was no new enticing content or something new, or that, Q and I, we didn't care enough about cosmetics to be interested in it, and I honestly hope that it doesn't do well at this case. For you that want $40 worth of cosmetics at $10, Chaos, if that's what's happening and you're all cosmetic-y, go for it. Go for it, brother, or sister.
I'd like to add, I do care about cosmetics, but only in a game that I'm actually bothering to play. If there's no content for me to play, I'm not going to care about the cosmetics. I mean, I'm not going to get to look at them. There's nothing for me to do so that I could look at my cosmetics in the first place. So,
and I mean, I still in my heart have to disagree, Jason. Paying for a battle pass to do dailies for cosmetic items is a terrible battle pass, in my opinion. I don't care if you can go do those dailies now, you just don't get the cosmetic rewards, like Chaos is kind of saying is the case, or if you can't do these dailies and the battle pass only gave you access to those dailies and the cosmetic rewards. I think it's a dumb battle pass. Either way.
I thought we kind of agreed with him on the notion that I don't want to pay just for dailies. If it was new content, that'd be fine, but
right.
Just paying to do the dailies doesn't do it for you.
Right. Well, and Chaos is saying that some of the comments that we had picked were cherry-picked to kind of support our view of Rift players not liking this, and Chaos kind of took umbrage with that. And fine, Chaos was very nice about it, by the way. Chaos, I hope...
No, that guy said I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, Chaos, Chaos, I hope you express your opinion like that all over the internet, because it was, hey, you know what? He or she's got a little grievance and is explaining why, and it was a pleasure to read. Feedback I take to heart, and definitely I will poke you or the Discord channel on the next Rift thing. But at the end of the day, whether you have access to these dailies without the battle pass or with some extra rewards with the battle pass, that's a shitty battle pass, in my opinion.
We should have a Discord channel.
But maybe my own opinion. So there we go. Chaos, thank you, by the way. Question of the week last week. Would you pay for a queue in your favorite free-to-play game that has that only queues you up with other players that paid? Squeezy says, question of the week, I already do it. CSGO went free to play, so I paid for an exclusive queue to play against other paying players. Go ahead, Jason.
Mr. Dispro, so I'm going to choose to parse that. Question of the week: if I was already a paying member, then I guess it wouldn't be such a bad option to play with only with other paying members. Although it depends heavily on the game's free-to-play format. If the game has pay-to-win elements, it could mean that paying servers or queues would come down to some kind of deluxe edition Wallet Wars, Return of Mom's Credit Card. That being said, it could also be a way of filtering out the casual scum, myself included, for your matchmaking in a competitive game, and leaving out only the players that are involved enough to pay for the game or finished Wallet Wars Origins. I doubt a move like that would be well received by the free-to-play community of the game, but I bet the paying members will see this as a bonus.
I tend to agree. Go ahead, Q.
Daniel Oppenlander, I would not like to be in a pay queue if the game does not have a lot of people. The queue would be so long. I feel like there'd be no limitation on the queuing system. In my opinion, the more we are, the better.
That's generally the argument for free to play, is that even if they don't pay, free players provide a service for your paying players by being there. Slayer Master PWI's question of the week: after thinking about it for a day, I wouldn't. At first I thought if it didn't cost more than $5 and if I could pull in non-payers during dead hours, then I got to thinking that it'd probably be a bad idea and it'd just give companies another way to milk money from the consumer. Now what I would pay for is a feature that prevents me from being in a match with an 8-year-old on a mic screaming.
Now that's
so
a
detect 8-year-old.
Right. Question of the week this week. Where do you see Daybreak and its titles 6 months from now? How about a year from now? I think enough has happened over the last 12 months that we really got to start considering what is going on there. Like, I still don't know what the hell's going on with Planetside Arena, Jason.
Hey, one of my predictions at the start of the year was something happens to Daybreak.
Yep. So we want to know what you guys and gals think it is. Put it in the comments below. Don't forget your weekly bombs. Da bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad, or just your question for the panel. Until next time, Q, where can everybody find you?
Hanging out on Twitter at Quitland.
Jason.
I'm on Twitter at Winter Informal. See right there. And on streaming at twitch.tv/Jason Winter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there. On Twitter at magicman1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet at you all the giveaways, new articles, first look videos, free-to-play cast, free-to-play weekly, and more so you get your fill of free-to-play news. Having said that, until next week, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.